Hey guys, welcome back to the Honda Resource. Today's episode, we're going to be swapping out competition clutch twin disc, and we're going to be installing. We have a Clutch Masters FX400 with a lightweight flywheel. This should get rid of a lot of the chatter and stuff that we had, and just cut down on a lot of the harsh engagement. Twin disc is really meant for performance stuff, as far as like drag racing and that kind of stuff, and we're not doing this. And this is a completely stock K24A2, and there's really no point in having a twin disc in here. I just really went with the FX400 simply for the fact that I wanted something with a little more performance than stock for the off-road applications, because I don't want to get out off-road somewhere and the clutch starts slipping when I get on the hillside and start really giving it the gas. You know what I mean? So let's get to taking this motor out and getting this clutch removed. All right, so I guess I'm going to throw it on some time lapse and go ahead and start pulling out the transmission. Hopefully I can pull the transmission out of this without having to pull the whole swap, but it's pretty tight. I mean, it's, you see there's not a lot of room there to slide over, so I don't know if it's going to work or not. We may, if I can unbolt that bracket, we may be in business. We're going to find out. So let's give it a go, see what we can do. Okay, so after doing some quick looking there, I decided to go ahead and pull the whole swap, so that's what I'm in the process of doing, because like the S1T bracket, the way it mounts in an EG, well, it's not just the S1, also like the Hub City and all those two that mount to the back of the transmission. There's not enough clearance between the transmission and the rack and pinion to take those bolts out without pulling the whole swap. So that's what we're doing. We're just pulling the whole swap and just working through it. It actually comes out pretty quick. You know, doing the swap initially took some time just because figuring stuff out, but I mean, I took the motor in and out of my all-wheel drive car quite a few times and got pretty familiar with it. And I mean, once you've removed a K-swap, you've removed a K-swap. This one just has a few more things because we have AC and power steering and that kind of stuff. So just getting it all pulled out right now. Just got a few things on the bottom to pull out, and then we'll be ready to drop this swap out of the bottom. And see, here's kind of what I'm talking about. We had to trim the head just to make sure we had ample clearance. I didn't want anything to rub in the rack, but got to get that bolt out. And it may be kind of difficult to get it out since I did trim the head. So I got to get that, just gonna pull the whole swap. I just got to take this exhaust down, which the way I made it, this is unbolts there, and this clamp here unbolts. And then unhook the O2 sensor. The exhaust is out of the way, and then got to pull the axles out. Finish pulling off the AC compressor, just these two bolts here, and then the AC compressor can move forward and out of the way enough, hopefully, to lower this whole thing out of the way. So let's finish her up. Oh, we also got to get the drive shaft out. So just disconnect it here at the front. That's all we got to do. This thing is pretty dirty. I mean, I use it, right? But you can see here where that rear main's been leaking. And then we're also gonna swap out that clutch while we're doing it. So, yeah. Alright, so now basically all that's holding it in here is the mounts. So I just got to unbolt this one, the 3 bolts, and then take that bolt out there. And we'll have to take these 2 out and this one, slide this mount up, and then we'll put a floor jack in before we start to get these out. But I'm gonna put a floor jack under this, and then once we get those out, we'll slide it forward, because we have to be able to clear the T-bracket from the subframe. So once we slide it forward, that's why I took off all the accessories too, so that it'd be able to slide forward more. I was able to put the AC compressor up here without draining the system, so that really helps. But we'll move this forward and then lift the CRV up off of the motor. So the motor will still be sitting here on the floor jack. Okay, so you can see we got our motor out now. You can see there's a K24A2. So we got that out, trans out. We gotta split it. I went ahead and took that this piece here out on the bottom. It's kind of like dust shield, but it's also like a support. So I took that out while we had it up in the air, just to ease taking this apart on the ground. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this jack out from under it, and that way I don't have to worry about it falling, that kind of stuff. All right, so again, we're going back in here with a Clutch Masters FX400. This is a 6-puck sprung clutch. We got a lightweight flywheel here. It does have some minor surface rust on the pad here, just where it's been sitting. It is used flywheel. This is a new clutch though. Again, this is I got dirty, just my hand. But this is a Clutch Masters FX400, and we're gonna get her installed. We just got the transmission separated. I went ahead and replaced this rear main seal because it was leaking. Cleaned it up with some brake cleaner in here, and you can see all this pig mat is just soaking up coolant and brake cleaner and filth. But anyway, we got that rear main swapped out, so hopefully that kills our oil leak that we've been having. And yeah, let's go ahead and get this clutch installed. All right, so it's a couple hours later now. It's I had to go do some other stuff. I got the clutch on with the new flywheel, and now I'm gonna go ahead and get the transmission mated back over to it. I was gonna put the phantom grip in the transmission too. I have one in the rear end. It seems to work pretty decent, but I just don't know. It does fine on the trails for the most part. Over here watching some Boosted Boys, you know. But I'm gonna go ahead and get this slap back on here, and we can go ahead and get it back in this thing, because yeah, it's not fun when it's like this. It's fun when it's out on the road. So let's get this mated back up to that and get ready to start putting it back in the truck. All right, so we got the transmission mounted back onto the engine, and I got the S1 T-bracket back on here. I put a new bolt in right here because the one I had on here, I wound up having to weld a nut to it to get it out. This one here, I should be able to still get a socket on it and it clear. But the other one, I had to trim once it was already installed into the CRV, so I could still get a bolt socket on that. I couldn't get a socket on the other one. The other one I cut with a Sawzall once. I already had it mounted into it. It was really close to the subframe, or to the rack and pinion, so I chopped it off with the Sawzall just to make sure it had clearance. But yeah, I was going to show you guys also. This is a K24A2, but if you notice, it has a oil cooler, where the stock K24A2 does not. So this is a K20 Z3 water pump housing and water pump, and K20 Z3 oil cooler. So all that just transferred over onto the K24A2 block. I don't really know that it's beneficial for my application, but I have it. Okay, so obviously we still have a long ways to go, but the motor is bolted back in now, and we can proceed with hooking everything else up. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night at this point right here. It's not really a whole lot left to do. Still gotta put the CV axles in, hook the drive shaft back up. I gotta get another lower radiator hose because mine had a little pinhole in it. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick up one of those. Gotta put the power steering pump back on the serpentine belt. You see the power steering hose there. Hook up the harness, I guess the main power harness here. Throttle cable, air box. There's really not a whole lot. Put some coolant in it, and that kind of stuff. But I'll go ahead and call it night, and I can finish this up tomorrow. So see you then. So I didn't really record any yesterday when I was finishing up putting it back together, but got it back together. Got a new lower radiator hose, and also swapped out the driver's side axle. Ripped the inner boot. I just went through some other axles that I had piled up in my shop, and I found that like a 04 TSX axle fit pretty well on the driver's side, so that's what we have in there now. So we got TSX axle on the driver's side, and we have a second gen CRV axle on the passenger side. But anyways, got that back together. Only things I really know that need to do that I haven't done is an overflow for the radiator, because I don't have one of those yet. I need to clean off the transmission too, because I was putting some fluid in there and I didn't really have the proper funnel to put it in through the reverse sensor like I normally do, and it kind of spilled some, so gotta clean that up. But otherwise it's running and driving again, and the clutch feels amazing. I drove it this morning for several miles, and wow, yeah, night and day. So happy that I finally got that swapped out, and also got the oil leak fixed. And with that being said, I guess CRV is pretty much ready to go to Classic Honda on the Dragon. So we're taking it up to the tail of the Dragon up in Tennessee and North Carolina, right up in that, just right at the state line. I don't really know which state it's in. I believe it's in Tennessee though, but maybe parts of North Carolina, I don't know. But we're going up there the first weekend of October. So if you're up there, make sure you stop by and say hey. And I appreciate everyone stopping by the channel and checking out the old CR Yeeter. And I appreciate all those likes, those comments. And as always, I appreciate it if you'd subscribe. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.